TPN community. Want to welcome you to another episode of TPN Talks with Leticia. Really excited to introduce my special guest today, Devin Patterson. So happy that you agreed to join and that we're going to be able to have this conversation today. Why don't we start off by just having you introduce yourself, maybe your name, how long you've been with TPN, and then anything else that you want to share with our community.
Hey, thank you, Leticia, for having me. I really appreciate it. So, my name's Devin Patterson. I've been with TPN for a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years. And it's just something I love. Um, is weekends are usually just kind of hanging out, watching movies, been watching movies, shows all the time. And then my partner also taught me how to snowboard. So a lot of my winter time is up in the mountains, just snowboarding. So a little bit of the fun side of me.
That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role here at TPN, maybe what your typical day might look like, or anything that you want to share about your role with our community?
Yeah, so I'm a facilitator at OSP. I do Free Your Mind and also Parenting Inside Out. And so most mornings, usually at the time when I get to work, I'm usually just kind of getting prep work done. So kind of just going over my lessons for the day. A lot of times, especially in my classes right now, a very talkative group, I guess you would say. And so they always are coming into the office, just wanting to see how everything's going and just asking random questions all the time. Um, but I usually do my Free Your Mind class in the morning, and then after that lesson is done, I usually take my lunch, but then also kind of go over my overview for my parenting class. And then for my parenting class, and when I finish that one up, um, get any paperwork, maybe a little bit for the next class, and then finish obviously cut, and then I'm usually done after that.
Cool. Is there anything special or unique about working at Oregon State Penitentiary? It's one of the oldest, it is, I think, the oldest prison in the state. I think it was built in the early 1900s, maybe even the late 1800s. And I worked there when I was a facilitator too. So I know it's a cool institution. I'm just wondering if there's any highlights or cool things about working there that you could share.
Yeah, so definitely an older institution, I will say. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about it, is just knowing that how long of a history it's been. It's like one of the oldest institutions in Oregon. Um, and I've also worked at OSCI, and I've gone to CRCI and a few other institutions. So just going from those ones and seeing the difference with OSP is definitely different, but it's from what even just AICs there, they definitely prefer that institution, just because of how it's laid out. And um, I don't know, I feel like I've had a lot more interactions, really great conversations with AICs, obviously, and then also just officers there and the counselors. Everyone's been very, very cool.
All right. My next question for you is, what is maybe one of the favorite things that you like or enjoy about working with TPN?
Favorite thing, and I feel like anytime I've gotten this question, whether from you guys just asking like how I like TPN, or just random people on the street asking like where I work at, um, I've always just talked about just the general overall culture and environment that you guys have here. Um, I don't feel like I've ever had a job that's given me as much support you guys have in every way, like whether that's my coworkers or just upper management or supervisors. Like I know, like I can reach out to you, it's more than answer a question or just help. And I don't know, it's just I felt very embraced from day one, and so that's something that I've really.
Very cool. I'm glad to hear that. I think we all, yeah, want to have an experience and help create that culture of support, that community of care and support. So that's cool. It's one of my favorite things too. How about any significant experience or kind of memories maybe since your time at TPN that really stand out to you or really have made an impact on you?
Yeah, so I don't know if I've ever heard of any position that lets do what we do, like being able to go into institutions and to be able to have these conversations with AICs. And so for the most part, I think that's what's always kind of stood out with me the most, is just being able to do this type of work. Whenever I tell people like, what to do, they're like, "Oh my God, you work in a prison," and a lot of times I forget that I do because it just feels so normal. And really, what kind of stands out the most is I would say the interactions and just kind of the connections I can build with participants I have. Um, just because like a lot of my classes I'll usually hold and we'll have our discussion, like we'll like for your mind, we'll do the hour and a half, and end of it, I'll still have like 4 or 5 people that still stay after class and like don't want to leave and want to have conversations, talk about whatever. And so, no, I don't know. I think it's just seeing that interaction, is seeing just changes from week one all the way to session 55, and just how they go about their days. It's been great.
Oh, I love that. And I really appreciate what you described of like, even though you're in a prison, which is a unique experience by itself, like in your classes in that space, you're able to, kind of create an environment that doesn't feel like it's in the prison at all as well. Like kind of cultivating that space where people feel comfortable and they're really engaging and leaning in, not just to the material, but in the interaction with you and with the other participants. So I think that's really cool. I always say one of my favorite roles or jobs I've ever had is as a facilitator. And it's for that reason. It's just like what happens and the way that people grow together and progress is kind of remarkable. You never think that you would be able to have some of those things take place for them and for us as facilitators too. So I can just totally imagine what you're describing and can really appreciate that that's something that stands out to you or has impacted you. Great. Well, that kind of leads to my next question, which is about our mission. So the Pathfinder Network provides justice system impacted individuals and families the tools and support that they need to be safe and thrive in our communities. So I kind of have 2 questions for you. The first one is, what does that mission mean to you? And then kind of thinking ahead, what are some things that you see for the future of TPN based on your experience and kind of your vision?
Yeah, so I would say, like for the most part, I think all of us that are doing this work, I feel like we want to give these participants or just the people that we interact with on a daily basis tools to just be able to, you know, be able to live their life, just successfully, be able to accomplish a lot of things that they may have never even considered being a possibility. And so I feel like every day, being able to have these interactions, be able to and dig a little bit deeper into where they're coming from with certain perspectives. Um, I don't know if they've had those opportunities before in the past, or just have someone that's not just pushing them to the side because they've been in an institution for so long. Because I think that's very easy for our society, is just to kind of put people that have gone into an institution just to the side and just assume that they're never going to get out of that, when that's not the case. Where we've seen that many times, that people can be successful. So a lot of times they don't know where to turn. So I really, really, really am grateful that you guys are doing this work. I get to do this work. Um, and just for the future, I really hope this is kind of something that can be expanded on, and it can be tackled into other, obviously, different parts of not only Oregon, but just all of America. And hopefully we can be able to bring these more forces in line with the other institutions. I think we need them, and I think there's a lot of people that would be willing to do this work if it was out.
Yeah, love that. Increasing the impact, increasing, the awareness that these kind of jobs exist and that the work is, powerful, even though, it happens maybe in a prison. So I love that vision that you shared. I have really enjoyed being able to have this conversation with you this morning and to get an opportunity to really highlight you and your work and some fun things about you to our community. So I thank you for joining today, and want to thank everyone else for tuning in to another episode of TPN Talks with Leticia. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.